Welcome everybody to this evening's Upper House seminar. It's a real delight to be able to welcome our speaker, and I won't say any more because actually Irini is going to be introducing her. But thank you so much for giving us your time, and we're really happy to be able to host you. We're very happy to be able to host the Modern Greek Studies program here this evening, which is led by Lambrini Rory and Irini Karam. Sorry. And Irini's at Sheffield, and Lambrini, of course, at the University of Athens. This is a program that was started, I think, in about 2019. Is that right? A program in collaboration with the BSA, and I think you had quite a number of online lectures during COVID as well. And we really appreciate that you guys are still willing to come and visit us here at the BSA and host a lecture here at the BSA too. And both Lambrini and Irini were early career fellows at the BSA, and good encouragement for our other early career fellows, who we hope we will in the future build as many close ties with them as we have with you guys. So I'm going to hand over to Irini now. To everybody else, thank you all for coming here, and here's Irini to introduce the speaker. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Also, we're having a lot of people online, so that is fantastic. So you can hear Professor Harlaftis talk. It's a real delight to have Gelina. I'm sorry, I speak on the first name basis because I've known her for a couple of years now, and she's a little bit of a trailblazer when you meet her, and then you realize that when it's reflected to her work as well. She's really has produced with her team, but led mainly by Gelina, this amazing book, which you can see here on the left, entitled The Onasis Business History from 1924 to 1975. If there was a person to actually write this story, it would have been Gelina. If you see here publications, which are really endless, but she has really kind of immersed herself. She's one of the few economic business historians that have looked at what is one of our main industries, the shipping industry, but that actually lacks the proper history. So I think she's trying with her team of young researchers who are doing the same kind of history to resurrect the history of such an important industry, and also change a little bit the archival culture. So this book is what I found really challenging and impressive, is that her team has gone through this huge amount of documents that no one else has access, and they have been able not only to classify them and categorize them, but were able to produce this piece of work that I've read it. It's very long, but it's so easy to read, and you get a sense not only of Greek history, not only of Greek business history, not just about Onasis, which is the initial kind of thought, but I was really kind of surprised that you really get a sense of international developments during this century, because Onasis, as Gelina will tell us, I'm sure, is this international figure, but he represents this network of companies that is very much dependent on international developments, but also how it builds on a sense of family tradition, especially in shipping. So I think it has contributions on so many fields, and I'm sure it's going to be really a game changer in terms of how we see business history and Greek history at the same time. A little bit about Gelina. She's a professor of maritime history at the University of Crete, but mostly for me, at least, is the director of the Institute for Mediterranean Studies at FORTH, the Foundation of Research and Technology, ELAS. She has been working on many different issues of European maritime tradition, but lately, the past couple of years, through the Onassis Foundation grants, he's been able to produce this kind of insane publication, actually, if you actually see it in the flesh. And she has just also gave us this leaflet that you can get a discount on the English version of this book. There's also in Greek and in English. We are thrilled to have you here. Really, thank you for accepting our invitation. And I'll leave the rest to you here. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Irini. Thank you, British School at Athens and director. I'm delighted always to come to this oasis in the middle of Athens. And thank you for organizing this very much. Now, the Onasis archive, I'm going to talk to you about the archive, how we made the archive, and how we, as well as about the book. So now it's in a temporary residence in Moscato in Athens, and it's still going on. We did the classification up to 1975 from 2017 to 21. From 22 to 24, we're doing from 75 to even today. There are many archives. There were and are many archives in Piraeus, in London, in New York, in Montevideo, in Liechtenstein, in Monte Carlo. The Montevideo ones and the New York ones and the Monte Carlo ones have come through the sea by ship, and they're all gathered in this enormous warehouse. We started in June 2017 with 500 boxes full of documents, the beginning from Montevideo, Monte Carlo, and Piraeus, untouched for 40 years. We started moving the archival material in new working boxes, and they were some of them were not in a good condition, so we moved them in new working boxes. Then we the team of researchers opened the boxes, recorded the content and the first numeric filing, and then we put the new boxes one upon the other, and we're waiting for us. And then there was the electronic formation. After we registered all the documents, we had the electronic formation of the archive. And according to these results, the archivist starts to draw the classification scheme of the archive and the hierarchical descriptive system that will occur: fonts, subfonts, series, subseries. It took us 3 years to understand what was going on. I'll tell you, we had huge windows at the warehouse, and we were writing on the windows, you know, where is the logisterio, the accounting place. You know, it's in Montevideo, is it in Monte Carlo, is it in New York, is it in Piraeus? The woman that saved us is Amalia Papa. She's the vice general manager of the Greek state archives, a wonderful collaborator. And there is the classification scheme. What basically is there is you have the Onasis archive up there, you have the business archive, and you have the Onasis family archive. The Onasis family archive is from acquisitions mainly. It was not in the business archive, but it was also parts of it in the Onasis Foundation. The business archive is up to 1975 of Onasis, then the division, which was a very difficult period for the Onasis business. And then you have the two entities, which is the Onasis Foundation, the Alexander Onassis Foundation, and the Foundation of Christina, which had nothing to do, they were separate entities, but they were administered by the Onassis Foundation up to the 1990s. But this is another story. After we had the electronic archive, we did a temporary physical arrangement of the archive, because there were various files of various companies in the archives. And for example, the company Miraflores would be found, the archives, its files would be found in box number 44, no, box 54, 57, 38. So you had to put them again into another box. So there's a second opening of the boxes to put them according to each company, because this is an archive of companies. It's an archive of about 250 Panamanian and Liberian companies with all their documents of the business from 1939 to 1975 and more. So we took we took these like 4 boxes and we would put them in one shelf, and this would be Miraflores, for example. And we prepared other boxes. There is some of 2 of our young researchers. There is Kostis really bragging in a way, how much he can carry. We don't treat them like that. But so they were rating you could see the various companies where they are. And then there's the 3rd and final opening of the intermediary boxes. You see it's COVID time. We're working with our masks, and we check what we have already in there in the file, in the electronic files. And we have already put codes of fonts, sub-fonts, sub-series, 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 and so on. So each document or each file have their own number. And then you take the documents, you put them in folders, you write in a pencil the number of the folder, and then you put them beautifully in boxes, and then we print the labels, right? It's a lot of work. But the hands on board were really excellent. The young team was really fantastic. And the beginning it was from Ionian University, University of Athens, but now it's mainly University of Crete. And we have now we had a full series from 1898 from the family of Onasis in Smyrna until 1975, and it's the greatest part, as I've already told you, is a business archive, covers the business activities of Aristotle Onassis and his family, and the archive is unique. There's no other archive in the world exists like this, and its creation constitutes an innovation in the field of business history in Greece and abroad, and it is, as I said, the first archive of its kind. It provides unique evidence for the operation of a multinational shipping business group with offshore companies, and very early in offshore companies, from the 1930s, on 4 continents, Europe, Asia, America, and Africa, from 14 countries: Greece, France, Monaco, Germany, Norway, Sweden, Britain, Argentina, Uruguay, Panama, Honduras, United States, Saudi Arabia, and Liberia, and in English, Spanish, and French, and Greek. It's important for graduate studies, from economic, political, and business history to global history and geopolitics, from maritime law to maritime technology and maritime labor. And it can be used, yes, to bring out and promote the Onassis Foundation historical heritage, which is, and what is very important, this is very important for me, is the heritage of Greek entrepreneurship. Because we have heard so much why Greeks are not entrepreneurial. And we do have a great entrepreneurship, and our international entrepreneurship is in shipping and commerce traditionally. And the project continues. We have a second phase, and we continue now with the boxes from New York, from Liechtenstein, that have arrived, and from London, and a new group works since last year to register all this evidence. So having this evidence, there's lots of there are thousands of articles, probably hundreds of books on Onasis, but it's mainly the lifestyle. It's nothing was based on evidence. And so we did have the evidence, and we had the architecture from inside of the business, right? So the book is not another biography, but an anatomy of the organization, the structure, and the function of the network of companies he created. Another kind of history is very known in the United States or in Europe, not in Greece, business history, completely under-researched in Greek historiography in combination with the economic maritime history and economics. The book was out in May in Greek. It's a beautiful big fat volume. The University of Crete Publications have made a beautiful job in typography and in presenting the book. And then the book was out in December by Brill Foundation in English. The authors of the book, yes, myself, have written the largest part of the book, but it's which is on shipping. But there's Maria Damilakou from Ionian University, who has a chapter on Onasis in Buenos Aires. She's an expert in Latin American history. Christos Tsakos, recently elected in Ionian University. He wrote about Project Omega that did not happen because the book has all the business of Onasis, and Onasis did a lot of business that did not succeed as well, right? So Project Omega is one of the projects that did not succeed. Alexandra has written the only written history, the first written history of Olympic Airways, and Alexandra Papadopoulou. Amalia, we rewrote what we found with the archive, and Professor Lars Scholl from University of Bremen has written about the business of Onasis and whaling, and about just a short account of Yacht Christina. A book has to have questions, has to put questions and a methodology. And there's a simple first question. What is it that made Aristotle Onassis such a successful entrepreneur at the world level? What determines the success of a businessman? Very simply, endogenous and exogenous factors. The exogenous factors have to do with the international and national environment in which entrepreneur operates, and with the economic and political conjuncture. The endogenous factors have to do with entrepreneurship of the businessman himself, and his success is determined by the combination of 7 factors, as these have been perceived by a number of economists and business historians. And I'm going to go through the book through these 7 factors. First factor is that the social background of the entrepreneur is very important. American bibliography wants Onassis to be an example of rags to riches. No. Onassis is an example of the entrepreneurship of the Greeks in the Eastern Mediterranean and in trade and commerce. And the first chapter brings out for the first time to light the full range of the Onassis family and the business activities. It is now, as you see in the photograph, that is the first time that it has been published in the book. You see the family of Aristotle Onassis in 1896. In the middle is Yaya Yestimani, right? And on her left, on her right is the first son, Ioannis. On her left is the second son, Vasily. On the back is another son. And then there's the only daughter, Maria, who married Maria Konialidis, and her sons became the close collaborators of Onassis. Then is little Omiros that became the collaborator of Onassis' father, who is the guy in the mustache over there, with the mustache over there, Socrates. And then next to him standing is Alexander, the beloved uncle of Onassis that was massacred by the Turks in Smyrna, and he gave his son his name. You see them all well off. They don't wear fez, which is usually the middle class and of Smyrna wore fezes. They have golden watches and everything. And this is the S&O Onassis in Smyrna, the letterhead. Okay, no, that is in Piraeus, but it is the same letterhead exactly that was in Smyrna. In September, after the destruction of Smyrna, they came to Piraeus, to Athens, and then in December, 2 months later, his father made this company to continue his business from Athens. We have the destruction of Smyrna. The Onassis family, a well-off family, has to flee to Athens. And then Aristotle Onassis, after a year, he leaves for Buenos Aires. They've said many things why he left for Buenos Aires. These people here, they come from Moutalaski, which is in Cappadocia, which has 24 villages. It was a tradition of the male members of the family to go either to Constantinople or to Smyrna to do trade or other businesses. And they became rich, and they became back to their villages, and they made beautiful homes which still exist. And so it was a tradition of these families that they leave their place to go to another big port to find and to enrich, to enhance their luck. So young Onassis goes to Buenos Aires because he cannot go to North America. It's been closed down, and goes to Buenos Aires, where already there are thousands of people from Asia Minor, and he has a relative there. He stays there for 8 or 9 months. And we have a wonderful a letter from his wife to his sister Artemis. Papanikolaou is her second name, so Artemis Onassis, who married the Papanikolaou Nemgarofalidi, and he writes to her, "Xevris την μανίαν μου και τον πόθον που είχα να γίνω έμπορος." You know, my desire and passion to become a merchant, but he has found no leeway. And the key to start the business is his father and his first cousin, Nikos Konialidis. His father with his uncle in Athens, they have been able to have a bill of exchange with a company in the UK. They were able to have $50,000. His father knows about tobacco. He goes to Thessaly, finds tobacco, and sends it with Nico Konialidi to Buenos Aires. There, Onasis shows his insight. He is able to form the business, to find people to Kapneborus, so tobacco merchants and industrialists in Buenos Aires to give the tobacco from Greece. Greece then is becoming, exactly during that period, a main tobacco exporter. Tobacco from the east, from Anatolia, as it's called, Eastern Mediterranean, is lighter tobacco, because in Buenos Aires you have heavier tobacco that is in Cuba, from Cuba, and so on. So he has the first 8-9 years of his business is with a network of his father, with his cousins, as a merchant of tobacco. But 1929 comes the crisis. His father dies in 1932, and he enters shipping. So the second factor is that the crucial decisions that the entrepreneur takes, and to recognize opportunities. It's very easy for us to recognize opportunities after things happen, but then he is able. He makes money from trade. He finds out that then is good to enter shipping, and he enters shipping in 1932. The third characteristic of the entrepreneur that which determines his business activity is his ability to survive on different institutional environments. And you see the chapters where it's everything there, how he survived in Argentina, how after clash with how he survived the world, you know, when he made this agreement with Saudi Arabia, how he survived the conflict with the US, how he tried to make this Omega project during the dictatorship, and he just retired from it. Okay. So the fourth feature of the entrepreneur is his ability to adapt and to use social networking effectively in order to collect and put about information and to use it accordingly. And these personal networks serve as information systems, which reduce uncertainty and cost of transactions, as we say in economics. And in each geographical space in which he was active, Onasis hit to the top. And he used multiple business networks, developing professional strategic alliances with appropriate authorities and business elites. Here you have Churchill, you have Nixon, we have letters with Pompidou, of course with Prince Rainier, and of course he has good relations with all Greek governments. His family, as most of the Asia Minor people, were Venizalists, and he started the Eleftherios Venizelos, and he supported Sophocles Venizelos, and we see him here on a trip to Chania, and there is George Papandreou, there is Kostas Mitsotakis with Kostas Karamanlis, and so on. The fifth feature which marks a successful entrepreneur is innovation. So we have traced two main innovative activities. The first one is in management. Really, Onasis made the new model of global shipping company, which still, is followed to the present day by shipping companies. He used offshore companies, multiple holding companies, and also multiple centers of management. And he, on the other hand, he was always at the edge of technology. He contributed to ship gigantism and contributed in tanker technology. This is the time of ship gigantism. For example, the first super tanker was 50,000 tons, and in 1956, in 1975 it was 250,000 tons. Okay. So here to talk a bit more about this feature of the multiple also centers of management, his innovation in a way. Usually you had a company, a European company or an American company would have a base, New York or London, okay, or Paris or Marseille. This is a management that nobody knows where the base is, okay? The base was first in New York. Okay, it was first in Buenos Aires, but then it moved to Montevideo. Montevideo was like the Switzerland of Latin America, was between the two giants, Argentina and Brazil. And so the political system was friendly to Britain. So there, Constantino Cornealidi, the second cousin, was based, and he became his right man, his right hand, the man, his right hand. And there he had all the Panamanian and Liberian companies were formed in Panama, but the base of the companies was in Montevideo. And then he had agencies in New York, in Monte Carlo, the main agency, and they collaborate. He had two poles really of administration: Monte Carlo and Montevideo. Montevideo, you did not see. Monte Carlo, everybody knew. Okay, and there's also sub-agencies in New York, in London, in Paris. And then if you are a poor historian, you're trying to find out where the general management takes place. You know, where is the accounting department? Where is the legal department, marine department, chartering, sales and purchases, technical department, supplies. But the base of administration is in Monte Carlo. Another feature with the innovation in ship technology is I didn't talk much about the offshore companies, you can ask, and about the multiple holding companies. He did not invent offshore companies. Before the war, the Second World War, Nestlé, the big multinationals of Europe, formed Panamanian companies. Panamanian companies were used first by the Americans in the 1920s to carry alcohol to American ports during the Prohibition era, right? And it has become a tool of global economics, okay? And it was very much frowned upon. It still is, but it is extensively used, and it was mainly Panama and Liberia, and then multiple holding companies he did not also invent, but it was also something that was not used very much as well at that time. So what he did was, as I say, the daughters, the mothers, and the grandmothers over here, is that he bought a ship, for example, and this ship, the Olympic Flame, was owned by a daughter company. But then he had another company, which was called the Mother, that owned this company that owned the Olympic Flame. And then he had a grandmother that owned the company, the Mother, and the daughter company. All right? So he had 3 companies that owned everything. He had 20 companies that were intermediaries, and he had another 165 companies that owned the ships. And then he had, for management, that was ownership. People didn't see that, the back. And then the management was 11 aunts, which means another company took the loans, another company chartered the ships, yes, so other companies that did this business, and you had the 6 cousins that the world saw. The 6 cousins were the agencies, these ones. Okay. So innovation in ship technology, he built 85 new tankers in American, European, and Asiatic shipyards. Technical department, he had a wonderful technical department that did also, it was a research department, and so on. So you see the ship. This is the first, Onassis, 1956 is the first ship that was called supertanker. And also in airplane technology, he bought Olympic Airways in 1956. He was also bought the last airplanes of last technology, the jumbo jets, and so on. He really did an amazing campaign in marketing to make the brand name of Olympic Airways. He started from scratch. He had to educate air hostesses how to behave, to learn English and French, how to dress, and so on. And also to form a whole series of offices and so on to sell the business. So the 6th characteristic of the enable entrepreneur is the capability of drawing upon capital. Now, another pioneering step that Onassis did was that he's the first to open up the money markets of the United States for the financing of shipping. Okay, and and this, I don't say this, Citibank historians and Citibankers say that. okay? And you have to understand that in 1946, when he took his first loan from an American bank, the American banks were really very introvert, because after 1929, you have a crisis. They don't give loans to foreigners, okay, let alone Greeks. But he opened up the market here, and he was an excellent payer. So he made a very good networking with the top American bankers in Citibank, and most Greeks followed, okay? And he also advanced the methods of financing the vessels at an international level, with which means of the methods of financing, they have been followed by for the airplanes and for land transport. And the seventh feature is the business philosophy and culture. One of my chapters about the people starts with the steward ship steward Christos Triandis, who I was told by the personnel manager officer of the Onasis shipping company today. He said that he was asked in 2000 by Christos Triandis for a flag of the Onasis business in order to cover his coffin when he would die, so that everybody would know that he was an Onasis man. Okay, so he was able to have a business to inspire his people, and was the best. It's not an ideology here, okay? I'm not looking on Onasis as a person, right? I'm discussing about Onasis as a businessman and as an employer. And he had new ships. He paid his people well, and he was able. And another thing that comes from the tradition of the maritime history of Greece is that he really employed almost every seaman that exists in Ithaca. He became an Ithacan in a way. Ithaca, a kind of great maritime tradition. It did not have very successful ship owners after the Second World War, and they all worked for the Onasis ships. Okay, so and these are the members of his in some of his the launching of his first tankers. It's a whole Ithacan engineers and of his officers. So to wrap up, what made Onasis successful? It was the first, as I told you, the exogenous factors, and the exogenous factors were that the entrance of Onasis onto the stage of shipping industry in the 1930s coincided with a transitional period for shipping in the world economy, the decline of the giant British shipping groups because of the economic crisis of the 1930s. Greeks did take most of the part of the trump shipping of the British during the interwar period, and British decolonization gave way to new men of shipping. The increased use of oil as a chief source of energy, as well as the change in world systems to enter. He built his first tanker in 1938. No Greek had until then built a tanker. Okay, they were all in bulk cargoes. So he really understood that that the energy. I mean, in 1930s still. The trains use coal, the factories use coal, homes use coal, and this new energy was something that was upcoming, but it was not self-evident that it would take over. So he went into this new source of energy, and after the Second World War, more opportunities were offered by the mass American programs in shipbuilding. The Americans built a few thousand of the so-called called Liberty ships, because in the Atlantic there was a great war and German submarines had made a disaster of the Allies fleet. So Americans ended up having a very large fleet, which they did not want, and it was and Greeks, among others, were the ones that were able to exploit that. And finally, the endogenous factors that I told you about, his social and family background. He was raised in a commercial family and in business. His crucial decisions at the right moment, they were not all right. He knew how to retire, open a business, and then if it didn't go well, close and go and move on. His appreciation of and survival in various institutional environments, his ability to adapt and to use social networking. Another innovation, he never had a big house or a villa or big pools or towers but he had his yacht, okay? Yacht Christina, an emblematic flowing little palace, okay? And where he entertained all the politicians, aristocrats, businessmen, name it. We have we have all the logbooks of Christina, all the passengers that were there. I had great fun trying to find who was on board. Innovation in administration and technology, drawing, yes, up capital from USA, the main leader of world economy after the post-World War, and a business philosophy and culture by which he made an entrepreneurial family. This is his great success, not his main family. I am probably going to write a second book, a sequel, after 75. And this is an extremely interesting, part to see, because you have a business, 20% of the businesses live after the second generation. So here you have a hybrid business. It's part of his biological family and part of his entrepreneurial family. And then when his biological family, his daughter dies, his grandson, his granddaughter takes all the money and not all the money, all the assets, and it has nothing to do with the Aristotle Onassis Foundation. Then it is the entrepreneurial family that continues. We here at Onasis Foundation are on the cultural side. Every cultural and charity event is paid by shipping, by the shipping business that goes on today and finances the Onasis Foundation. Thank you very much.
I think there are questions also from online. I don't know how you do it, Rebecca. I think with Q&A, how does it work?
So what we do is Katrina will come up and let you know when there are questions online.
Okay.
And if you don't mind, if there is an online question, just paraphrasing what the question was, so that the online audience can hear what the question was.
So should Gelina look at it through the computer? Is that the case?
So, sorry, say that again.
Should we see it? Okay, I can see it here.
So if Katrina, and you holding on to that, Katrina will hold on to it, then.
Okay, perfect. So should we start from here and then you can take questions from the audience here?
Let's take questions from the audience and then go back to the online, okay? Well, after all, you made the effort to come here.
Very question. I abuse my role.
Of course.
That was fantastic, really, really fascinating. And it's really refreshing to hear another side of an athlete as well. Other than the swirling stuff of tabloids. But I wondered, so with all of these factors, if you take out one of them, so if you take out the ability to use social networking and things like that, would that have meant that it wouldn't have worked? I mean, are all of those factors absolutely necessary in creating this kind of powerful individual? Or are there any factors that are more important than others, or is it just not possible to say?
It's yes, you can pick up some factors that would be more important, but it's a combination. Okay, so we don't know if he didn't have any social family background. Maybe he would have been also very successful. Decisions are very important. So he certainly made good decisions, but he never made always very successful decisions. We see him in 1950s, really. He became, nobody knew him until 1954, okay, when he bought Monte Carlo. 1954, he was already 50 years old, okay? He had 25 years of work. And also not as a huge tycoon, of 2 ships, 3 ships, 4 or 5 ships, okay? So he it's a matter of knowing, for example, where to withdraw, okay? Maybe he could do with less publicity, okay? Others also have all this networking. They don't shout it as much, all right? So drawing capital from the United States was crucial. If he didn't do that, you wouldn't have the finance. Another, I don't have time to tell you everything here, but one of the great as well decisions that he did was that he turned to a German shipyards, 1950s, early 1950s. Now they were completely destroyed. When he went there, there were grass and there was nothing. But they had the manpower. They knew how to build ships. People that knew how to build ships. So he with American finance, because in Britain there were the other ship owners, the traditional ones that were Livanos, Kulukundis, and so on. They had already been taken with orders. So he turned to the new shipyards, to Germany, all right? And he found American finance, and he ordered in 3 years 18 tankers. For all these tankers, he had charters from the American oil companies. So the money from the chartering would go to the company. They knew that the banks would take their money. So he made some good decisions. And he wasn't afraid to take risks, but he was not. All his, they're not for other ship owners, but there are at least 6 or 7 books written by the people that he worked with, not very known ones, right? And they all say the same things from different angles. He really tortured every decision, okay? And with his people. That was, so they say he was democratic in this way. He listened to his people. He took the decision at the end alone, but he listened to it. And it was not, and he would wait, okay? Of course he did risks, but with lots of, under, under conditions. So I wouldn't, not all of these, not all of these factors are all important, but altogether they made him so important. Yes, yeah.
Yes, many thanks for your considerating presentation. I would say it's an example of your 7th indulgence factor. His people were entrepreneurs themselves.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Konstantinos Gratzos was a 5th generation shipowner himself.
Yeah.
The president of Olympic in New York was the son of the chairman of Prudential Insurance. Now, they looked upon the business as if each of them had an operating center, profit center, not as employees, but rather as joint ventures.
Just let me say that it was my mistake. I didn't mention. I mentioned Kostas Krinalidis. Kostas Gratzos was his best friend, his right hand, the man from Ithaca, the man that brought him all Ithaca. Okay, and the man with whom he discussed all his business. Okay, so definitely, and yeah.
You anticipate someone's going to say the fact that he didn't have Kyoto.
Yeah.
Had something to do, of course, with his father. and he preferred the people with the background of graphs. It was from the
Yeah, but
green type. Yeah, another thing is that he didn't consider himself shipowner.
Mhm.
He was multifaceted, had many skills. And one of his charters was Paul Getty.
Yeah.
And he said to him, "You'll be a successful man so long as you operate as a small business."
Mhm.
And this is counsel that he, I think, adopted.
Okay, you found this in Getty's autobiography.
Well, I know a bit about it.
Okay.
And I know a little bit about it.
Okay, a little bit of more, yeah.
But as an example of this innovation, when he first went to Citibank, he saw a police, and he said to the president of Citibank, and he said, "No, we're not in shipping, this is a volatile industry. We don't know when we're going to have an entry point and when we're going to exit. And we like to see stable cash flow. What do you want? Time charts. I can give you time. Yes, but if you have a time chart, you can have whole part. So there are deductions from there. It's not a problem. If I have a deduction for non-performance, I will give 3 times a year. So he was able to structure a win-win solution, both for Citi and himself. One final thing is that he regarded his job as thinking, what could possibly go wrong in what we're doing? And that is my responsibility to mitigate damage and to also shape the outcome. He didn't, I don't think he considered himself a shipper. He was a business.
Yes, he was a businessman, but I will say that he was very fond of his ships. Everybody said, so you have to be fond of your ships, not to see them as just assets to buy and sell. Some of them, yes, but there's a story that's been repeated in the books of his, like he would compare his ships as cows, okay? So when they wouldn't know the engine of a certain tanker, they would say, one of the engineers, he would say, how would you not know, you know, the engines of this of the ship that gives us all and makes us all we are? And so he knew all his ships. He did not, so he was very fond of his ships. So this is why and he always said that his shipping was his wife, and Olympic Airways was his lover, you know, the one brought, you know, money, and the other or generated and the other was consuming. So.
Try to steer that more towards marine than to aviation. I think there's pretty positive.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you. I will see you afterwards. Thank you. Can I have, yes, please. And then we go to the our online. Yes.
I have a more general question. Fascinating talk, and I love the bringing together of the archive from different places. I don't know if I missed this, but if you were brought in to do this project and oversee everyone. But the other part of it is, are there restrictions? Because it is
Pardon?
records. Is this collection restricted to the public? I mean,
Yeah.
can anybody come as a corporate entity?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times people think that corporate records are boring, but they obviously are not.
No, they are exciting. No, the thing is that we're still working on them. Okay, so it's still not open, but we have done a lot of work, and we receive requests, and according to the sovarotita of the researcher, so it's open. But there's going to be also there are thousands of photographs that will, so hopefully we will be able to have part of this archive for the public. Yeah, but it is yes.
But I mean, the foundation itself hasn't said, well, you know what, we want to restrict certain things.
Well, I'm still working with it. Okay, I am for having everything outside there. Okay, but we have to see. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
But let's put it this way, they're not, first of all, I never had any interference to the work, any, you know, I was let to write whatever I wanted, okay? And also work with all the archives, everything. And so, so the attitude is not, is more positive, I say, than, of course, yeah. Yes, let's have some questions from the public, from the audience.
This one is about the archive, and it says, for a sense of scale, since the archive shelves in photos look long, what is the approximate size of the Onasis archive in linear meters?
In meters, yes, yeah, yeah, it's true.
As currently classified, pending the registration and classification of additional boxes from various international sources were mentioned.
Okay, yes, this is it's definitely, yes, don't laugh, the archivists measure meters, right? I cannot tell you because we have moved to another warehouse, and I have not we have not measured this, but what I can tell you is that at the end we think we're going to have about 5,500 boxes, which are the antioxidant, like the boxes I show you, the antioxidant archival boxes, which I don't know how many centimeters they are. When it's finished, I will tell you. And it's and it will be, I think, to almost 2.5 million documents at least. Okay, so yeah. So it's big. Another question?
There's just a quick one. Where is the book available to buy?
Yeah, well, it's in πανεπιστημιακές εκδόσεις Crete. They're in Greek. It's in all bookshops, or it can be ordered by in any bookshop. Okay, and the English book is from Brill Publications. Okay, it's also an academic publishing house, and you just order it through Amazon, through Brill, you know. And if you had come in the lecture, you would have a discount for the yeah, because it's very expensive from Leiden, but you can buy it in Greek, and it's a beautiful book too. Yeah.
Will we see at some point listed in the directory of the people who work in all his companies?
Can you repeat this, please?
Will there be a directory of the names of the people who work for him?
Who works for him? Well, I do have in the book the directors of all the offices and agencies from 1950s to 1970s. We're working on the seamen as well. But probably the names of all the you can have the CEOs, okay, and the directors there, but there is the middle officers that probably are not there. But you give me, there were about 300 of them working on the offices, a few thousand on the ships. So yeah, this is a good idea to put them all down. Yeah. But we certainly have all the directors of the offices. Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah. You. Yeah. You.
Thank you. Thank you for the talk, but also thank you for taking up this project, because what I see as its one of the advantages is that it has both an archival side but also an intellectual side. But the main idea, I think, we sympathize with that. My questions. I remember reading your previous book on global shipping.
Creating global shipping. Yeah, this is the book that led me to this archive, and I love it. It's Creating Global Shipping, Valiano Brothers and Onasis. Yeah.
Archive itself, those documents, did they make you revise some of the arguments you made in that book? Because I remember in the introduction that I read many years ago, you made some points about culture and stuff like that. I'm wondering whether new research,
Yeah.
change that. And the second question, if we place Aristotle Onassis within Greek shipping business, is it just how special was he in the sense, was he like an exceptional figure or someone whose business characteristics in a way magnify the characteristics of Greek business in general? You see what I'm saying? Is he like an exceptional figure, like a very special case, or
Yeah.
someone who is one more, but in a very different way?
I think it's well, the thing is that I've spent all my life writing, researching why the Greeks have been so successful in shipping. There is a long history that we trace it from the 18th century, 19th century about Greek shipowners. This book, Creating Global Shipping, takes a 19th century tycoon, 19th century tycoons, Valiano brothers from Kefalonia, okay? Are based in Russia, London, and Marseille. It's beautiful story, this one too, and I had to construct archives from many countries. And Onassis really starts. He goes from the next island, Ithaca. He became an Ithacan. Now, Valiano brothers, or the Greeks, have developed this sector, shipping, and there have been about 40 seafarers from 40 islands. We have 120 inhabited islands in Aegean and Ionian seas. 40 of them developed since the late 18th century to the beginning of the 20th century, sailing, shipping, and so on, and they made all the entrepreneurial networks and so on. In the new era of 20th century, there were ship owners of 5 really islands, Ithaca, Kefalonia, Chios, Andros, and Kassos, that developed more massively in a way ship owners, right? So this is the traditional part of Greek shipping, and now these families dominated until the 1980s. Onassis and Niarchos were newcomers. Okay, and they entered into, and Onasis entered into tankers, the others didn't, all right? Despite the fact that both of them, Onasis and Niarchos, married traditional shipowner, they never collaborated. In fact, they were competing, not just with each other, but also with their father-in-law, right? So they never became an integrated part of this Greek maritime business group. And one of the things I did not mention is that one of the things he had to confront Onasis was the Greek shipping circle, okay, which they fought against him. He was like a parachuter. Who is he? He doesn't have anything to do with islands, anything to do with shipping. Who is he? Okay, so he's really the modern face of Greek shipping. So this is a new man. So, but Onassis could buy any ship that he wanted in 1930s. If he didn't have Gratsos and the Ithacans, he wouldn't have made anything. So what he did was that he used the Greek maritime culture and tradition of the island of Ithaca. And this is how most of it is amazing. Even in 2016, I took interviews from the Onasis business now, and the shipping business, and there are people still from the area of Ithaca, all right? So it is this tradition. So he blended this tradition. So what he did for me, if you want to say it in one sentence, he used Greek maritime and Northern European maritime culture, British and Norwegian, because he spent a few months in London to understand what's going on. He also met the Norwegians, and American finance, okay, and German technology. Yeah. Yes.
To move that question a step forward, it seems like he's proposing a new model. Almost. He's using, yes, his history and his roots in a way. And he proposes this most new model that's so exceptional, so fascinating. And by the way, thank you for this. We see that model pass on to other businesses that were created after him in shipping families.
Completely. This is
So
this is the model. He created global shipping. That probably has to do with the fact that at the age of 18, he had no country. When he went to Argentina, he declared that he was born in Thessaloniki, not because if he said that he was born in Smyrna, they would say that he was a Turk. Okay, Turkish, so he did not want that to be a Turkish subject, all right? So he went with a Nansen passport, certificate, which was for refugees. So and then he got the Argentinian passport, and then, well, of course, the Greek one, but he got, he had no place, and the fact that he had so many multiple centers of administering, I mean, today, the businessman that flies every week or every month or every is something very normal. It was not normal in 1920s and 1930s. Maria Madamilaku found from the list, from the database of the passenger ships that left from Buenos Aires, they have, in order they have recorded everyone that went on these passenger ships. She has found that after 2 years he was in Buenos Aires, he came to Piraeus, like in first class as well, you know. So he really did this route very, and then we had his passport from 1960 to 1970, and he had not stayed in one place during this 10 years, more than 10 days. So he had an amazing mobility, okay? And so this is why I say that the combination of the offshore companies, of the multiple holding companies, and of the multiple centers of management made this global shipping. He's a man of the new global world and economy.